Welcome back to another episode of Prime Time. I've got Nick beside me. It's our first episode for 2024. Good to be back. We're going to take the YouTube up a notch this year. Kairouz Bros.
I like it. New colours, red and white as well.
Step Brothers type theme. I'm liking it. I think it's going to be big. We're going to bring podcasts, interviews, a lot of skits. We're putting up YouTube shorts every day. We're putting up a new video every week. So make sure you stay tuned and are subscribing to the Kairouz Bros on YouTube. First order of business, Nicholas, the fan question.
Fan question for the week. Will UFC 300 be a bust?
Well, listen, they're making Sean O'Malley look like a superstar because he's headlining 299 and that's the most stacked card of the upcoming card.
Yeah, but it's stacked for like a diehard UFC fan. For a casual like me, I don't really know who these fighters are, so I can't really relate and say, it's a massive card.
Okay, you got Michael Venom Page who's coming from Bellator to MMA.
Exactly.
To the UFC.
Did you hear about him before Dana White brought him up at the press conference?
No, I was aware of him just because of the buzz on social media. But I feel like they've built 299 up so much that there's not many spots to fill up on the 300 card. The rumoured card right now is Pereira versus Adesanya. That will probably headline it. They did talk about bringing Conor McGregor on, but he's talking about International Fight Week. So, I mean, who else is left there?
Well, that's right.
Nate Diaz just announced that he's going to be fighting Masvidal in a boxing match, so they're not going to be on 300.
Islam's not fighting. Justin Gaethje probably not going to fight either. Oliveira versus, what's his name? The Armenian bloke. He's not fighting on 300. So who's left?
Sarukian.
John Jones is injured. Okay, they've rumoured Aspinall versus Pereira. They've rumoured Pereira versus Adesanya. They're likely not going to happen though.
And the way that Aspinall's been going at John Jones back and forth, it doesn't sound like he's going to be on 300 or is inclined to fight on 300. I think it's going to be Izzy versus Pereira. Three in the UFC. This will be their fifth fight.
Yeah, but that's at what, light heavyweight as well. That's too heavy for Adesanya.
Oh, mate, he's fought people of that caliber before.
Yeah, he fought in that division once and lost. He's not made out for that weight class.
Look, it'll get the fans talking. I feel like that's going to save the 300 card. With what's already on there, you got Bo Nickel as well, the American wrestler. So, I think it's going to be overshadowed by 299 unless they announce some bangers. I mean, Dana White made people stay up last night to announce a female fight the other day.
What's up, guys?
Yeah, it felt very underwhelming. As from the general
He
fan.
did know he announced a title fight, Weili Zhang.
Yeah.
Which is female, so no one cares.
That's what I meant. It didn't really hit the same in what people were after. But going to the rumour roundup, we've been doing this throughout the off season. The first rumour off the rank is, well, it's not really a rumour, people saw him there, Tevita Pangi Jr. at the Broncos training.
Well, they said he was there as a spectator, and that's all. But as soon as he left the Bulldogs, everyone said he's going to the Dolphins. But now it looks like he's going to the Broncos. What else are you doing at the Broncos training? What, you got friends there, you want to go see them train? No, you go to a game if you want to see them play.
Did he train with them? Did he do the Bronco at the Bronco? Did he get stuck into some fitness with the boys?
I haven't spoken to my sources, and as you know, I've actually built up quite a repertoire of journalists that I know now.
We now know a couple of journalists.
But I haven't asked them. But from what I understand, he was there as a spectator in his street clothing, wasn't in Brisbane gear. But if you're a gambler, you'd probably put money on that he's signing with Brisbane. If he doesn't sign with Brisbane by mid-season, I don't know anything.
I'd like to see him come back and play rugby league. He's meant to play rugby league. And if it was a way to get out of the Bulldogs, to be honest, I don't blame him. I'm not going to blame you. Go to Brisbane, have a year boxing, come back to the sport, do whatever you want. It'll be great to see you back in the game and Brisbane need you. Now, because they have lost some players. It'll be spark. They get Tevita Pangi Jr., they win the comp.
Wait, that's a direct replacement for Thomas Flegler. Maybe Pangi Jr.'s got a few more errors in his game, but he probably has a lot more spark. I think it's a great replacement.
Terrell May came out and said he wants to be a package deal with his brothers. Do you see that happening down the line?
I mean, it's straight out of the LeVar Ball playbook. I've got 3 sons or 3 brothers. We all want to play for the same team. LaMelo Ball, LiAngelo Ball, and Lonzo Ball.
Now we've got the May brothers.
We've got the May brothers, Terrell May, Tyrone May, and Taylor May.
I'd do what we do to become a package deal, boys. Just do it. Pull the trigger.
I mean, which clubs can actually afford all 3 players? I don't think Penrith would be able to now. Roosters, there's no way they could afford Taylor May.
Roosters will get him in.
I think the West Tigers should say, hey, boys, if you want to play together...
The Roosters already got one, brother. You may as well just add.
Did Penrith have the other 2? I don't even know where the third one's playing. I haven't even heard of it.
I didn't know there was a third one, to be honest with you.
But I'm saying the West Tigers, on the back of signing Luai, with no board or with a new board, they're going to sign these package deal brothers.
Could Jerome Luai get an early release? There have been rumblings that potentially he's their marquee signing. It's probably been the biggest buzz of the off-season. Jerome Luai to the Tigers early, could it happen?
No, they lost Capewell early already, and that's because they obviously didn't want him. Stephen Crichton going, they're not going to lose another Origin caliber player if they don't need to.
Capewell's in the Broncos.
Oh, sorry, no, he left Penrith ages ago. Yeah, what am I talking about? Who they lost?
Hoskin.
Hoskin. They went to the Raiders.
Second rower.
Sorry, yeah, he went to the Raiders.
Yeah.
White boys, you know, they look the same.
Yeah.
But in saying that,
one's been in a gay porno, the other one hasn't.
Still, they look
Hoskin's
similar.
still young and innocent.
It's the hairline that gets me.
Okay.
But anyways, speaking of Jarome Luai, why would they let him go for? If you have an Origin caliber 5'8" in your team, why would you let him go early for? You have no benefit if you're the Panthers. You've contracted him for this year, let him play it out.
I think the Penrith Panthers want to go for a 4-peat. If they can do it with the current crop of boys that they have, they want to keep Jarome Luai on. You know, and they also lost Cogger, mind you.
The only reason to let Luai go early, if there's bad blood. Is there any bad blood between Panthers and Luai? I don't think so. They all seem to get along. They all seem to be good mates still. Toto and him are still his best man. Toto's still at the team.
Well, going back to combat sports, we touched on it at the top with the fan question of UFC 300, but we had Ian Gary go on Ariel Helwani's podcast and finally explain himself after pulling out of UFC 296. And it was a long-awaited response. He was a bit emotional on there. He was kind of saying he had that opportunity to redeem himself after everyone was talking shit. Everyone was putting shit on him. I mean, we were there. We asked the fighters on the Ian Gary situation. They all weighed in on it.
And they all felt sorry for him to an extent. I think Colby Covington and Sean Strickland referred to him as a cuck.
Edwards didn't really care for him either because they have the feuds at the gym.
But Ian Gary, at some point, you're going to have to face the music, and you're going to cop a lot of bad media.
If you look at the comments from the Ariel Helwani interview, they were like, he doesn't realize how hypocritical he sounds because he was going at his former opponent in a way that was very similar. He was calling him a sex offender. He was going at him as a man. Whereas, okay, I understand your wife's been brought into it, but I feel like that's the game.
But again, and if you're Ian Gary, when you face the media, that's the nature of the UFC media. You go out now and every UFC fighter's using slurs that aren't allowed in other sports. You're allowed to say certain things
That's a game.
There's no way an NBA player would be able, or a UFC fighter would be able to go to the NBA and get away with what he says. And if you're going to be a participant in that, you're going to get absolutely, leveled with some of the language they use.
I've never seen a fighter receive so much love, and in overnight, they all hate him now. Every MMA fan does not like Ian Gary, and it's the way of the game. He even said that himself in the interview. He's received a lot of hate, a lot of backlash. He's parked up in Brazil now. That's where he's fighting out of. He's called out Sean Strickland in this interview. He's called out Sean Strickland, Colby Covington, and eventually wants to go for Leon Edwards' side.
I don't know why you'd call out Strickland for. I mean, what are you going to get out of it?
Well, it's a money fight. It is a money fight. They would go off at each other in press conferences. You've already seen what Colby Covington's done to him. Colby, for me, I think is almost an easy fight for Ian Gary right now.
He's done. I mean,
calling him out, it's a money fight waiting to happen. But from Colby's last performance, it looks like Ian Gary would just walk over him.
That's what would be expected.
Yeah.
But again, who would win the war of words? Colby Covington, easy.
He doesn't expect to go up against Leon Edwards anytime soon because he expects Leon Edwards to have 2 title fights this year, one against Bilal, second one probably against Shavkat. So he's looking at probably early next year to have a title fight all going well for him and if his household stays intact.
Wishful thinking.
Possibly.
Very, very wishful thinking.
Okay, we've got Mark Hunt, who also went on Ariel Helwani. Ariel Helwani provided all the scoops this week in combat sports. Dana White won't like this for sure.
How does he get these fighters?
Well, he's just getting them on. He gets the best interviews in the game, Ariel Helwani. He's been in the game for so long. But Mark Hunt comes onto Ariel Helwani's show and says, I don't do everything for the money. That's not my character. So much so that he was offered $3 to $4 million to throw a fight in Australia. In an Australian boxing match, he was offered $3 million to throw a fight.
So who would that be? Sonny Bill or Paul Gallen?
I don't know. Maybe it was another fight, but to turn down $3 million to throw a fight, Mark, at your age, I'm taking it. I'm sorry. I'm taking a dive. Punch me once in the face early round, say round 2. I'm going down $3 million.
After it's been ruled a no contest against Brock Lesnar, where you basically got embarrassed on live television.
He was using steroids though.
Doesn't matter.
That's his contention.
I would take $3 to $4 million. Hey, Sonny Bill, you want to win? It's all right. I'm done. No one's even watching the fight anyways.
I don't have that amount of wealth, and to turn $3 to $4 million down, it was, it's hard, but it's just not his character to do that. What's crazy is everyone just ignored the fact that he was offered $3 million to fix a fight. Does anyone want to investigate this? Maybe Fox Sports want to say, is it a boxing promotion like No Limit? Is it Stan Boxing? Who's offered Mark Hunt $3 million to throw a fight? And does that mean people like Tyrone Woodley, people in the Jake Paul, Logan Paul scenarios, are they throwing fights?
I think it's just generally accepted from way back in the day. Boxing can be rigged very easily.
It's up there with racing.
But it's just whether people talk about it. And for Mark Hunt to say it, he's probably in some danger. He didn't name drop anyone that offered him.
But you just said he was almost given $3 million to throw it.
Yeah, that's a very dangerous move, Mark.
Could you throw a fight?
Yeah. You know what? I definitely would take the 3 to 4 mil. I'd be telling all my mates, hey, I'm going down in the 4th round. That's paying $6. Maybe just put a bit of cash on that.
I'd bet Askren it. I'd Tyrone Woodley it.
Yeah.
And just punch me in the face. Let's get it over with. I've been concussed before.
I don't think
it'd take me 1 to 2 weeks to get
I
over.
would just make it as a part of the negotiation, though. I'm not going to do the Nate Robinson knockout. I can't be embarrassingly knocked out. It's just maybe like I'll cop a rib shot and just sit down and go on one knee and say, hey, my liver was fucked.
Well, let's look at EPL. Arsenal, are they choking yet again? EPL update, Nick.
Well, look, at Christmas Day, they were top of the table, same as last year.
Feels like it's deja vu.
And they're bottling the league again. They've lost 3 in a row. It's embarrassing. And Man City, who just got Kevin De Bruyne back, look like a team that's going to go on and win 15 games in a row and win the league. Jeez. It's a repeat of last year. Liverpool, at least, are much better than last year. And they're scoring goals, they're winning games. But they just don't seem to be able to compete with Man City when it comes down to the later end of the season. But we'll see. But my big takeaway from the last few weeks, I don't know if you saw across the internet,
I think I did.
Was Mohamed Salah's hairline.
Mo Salah.
It was disgustingly bad.
Yeah, this photo was doing the rounds all over social media. It looks like a Krusty the Crown cup. It does. And like when you're of that caliber of an athlete, when literally hundreds of thousands of dollars are getting put into your bank account a week.
Weekly.
And you can't do anything about that hairline, I know he must not care, but at least just shave it.
I mean, it's just like you see the patches and it's held back like that. I know he was taking a penalty, but either shave it, let it go, or go to Turkey. One of the two options.
I'm not having to go at anyone's hairline and anyone's appearance at all. I'm saying if I was in Mohamed Salah's position, I'm shaving that off.
The only thing worse than Mohamed Salah's hairline was LeBron doing the brush on his bald head.
He was brushing his scalp.
Between those two guys, seriously, give your hair away. That's enough.
But he was excessively brushing his hair, LeBron. Like it was to the point
Scratching
where
his scalp.
It looked really. It was brushing his thoughts. Like it was so obvious. It's like LeBron, we get it. You got hair on there, but it looks like you're brushing a little bit too hard.
Who would you rather have hair-wise, Mohamed Salah or LeBron?
Mohamed Salah, because you've got some scraps to play with. It's like Logan Paul. Just chuck it all back up to the front.
Wear a hat.
Yeah,
you'll be fine. No one even knows you're bald.
Maybe he could bring a hat into the EPL if that's allowed.
Headgear. You know? Peter Cech.
Yeah, headgears are allowed. Now, Kylian Mbappe to Real Madrid, that's kind of been making the rounds all over the internet. Is that confirmed or not?
I don't think it's confirmed. They keep saying it's confirmed. I think the only thing that's 100% is he's leaving PSG. And
He doesn't want to be there.
And Real Madrid, he's said before, it's his childhood club. It's someone he wants to play for. And they've got the money to sign him, unlike Barcelona, who are broke. So, realistically, that's what's going to happen. It just hasn't been formally announced yet.
Bill Belichick finally announces he's leaving the New England Patriots. This is like Craig Bellamy leaving the Melbourne Storm. Going on a massive reign like that. 24 seasons, 6 Super Bowls. Bill Belichick finally comes to an end. Does he call it a retirement? Or does he go on and potentially win more Super Bowls elsewhere?
I think he's definitely going to sign with the Los Angeles Chargers. They've got a good quarterback, great defense. And the disrespect towards Bill Belichick because he hasn't made the playoffs in the last 2 years. Like, okay, what do you expect from the guy? You can't be the best every time. He's the greatest coach of all time. Hands down.
We were on the ground in New England asking fans, do you still stick true with Bill Belichick? They said yes. Bill Belichick, they said, could jack off in the middle of the field and they would still let him coach the New England Patriots. They respect him that much. They don't think the game has passed him by. He's still a great at the game. He just hasn't had the roster over the last 2 years. And losing Tom Brady was a massive loss for them.
The issue with the roster, though, that is his fault. He's the general manager. He's the one that drafts players. So you can make the point that he has been terrible as a general manager, but as a coach, he's still been good. But just as a general manager, that's where he's probably got to give up.
Okay, let's move over to a segment. We used to do player matchups during rugby league season. We're going player matchups worldwide. Who is the better player in their sport? Giannis Antetokounmpo or Kylian Mbappe?
Great pronunciations. I think this is extremely tough. After watching the World Cup documentary on Netflix, Mbappe is just at another level. He's a freak athlete, goal scorer.
I would say younger.
Yeah, Mbappe's just turned 25. Giannis will be about 27, 28.
We got to think they both serve different purposes in their respective sports. Giannis, big boy, huge.
He's a freak athlete.
You don't expect the same athleticism from him that you do Kylian. Kylian's fast, agility, can control the ball. You know what I mean? They have to do two different things in their sports.
Is being skillful considered athleticism?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
then I would.
But that kind of comes under hand-eye coordination, the way they use moves. It's kind of similar.
I would give the nod to Mbappe as a more dominant athlete in the sport.
More difficult to do it with your feet.
Even though, look at Giannis' resume: 2-time MVP, NBA champion, NBA Finals MVP. He's been probably the best player besides Jokic over the last 5-6 years. it's hard to say that Mbappe is better, but World Cup final, hat-trick in the World Cup final. Yes, he hasn't won a Champions League or a Ballon d'Or yet, but...
That's what I mean. Is Ballon d'Or considered the worldwide MVP, that Giannis? Because like we've had the basketball have had that argument. You're world champions when you're in the NBA. So basically the MVP is the best player in the world.
Yeah, but
So the MVP is the Ballon d'Or. And Mbappe hasn't won those. Mbappe hasn't won one. Giannis has won one.
2 MVPs,
Yeah.
I mean, accolades-wise, you've got to give it to Giannis, but I think as a more dominant player in their sport currently, I'll give it to Mbappe. I just think on the back of the World Cup, the way he played, he's the best striker. Him and Haaland up there in the world.
And I think there's more elite football players in the world. More people are playing football. It's
Yeah.
more difficult to be at the top like that. So I'm going to go Mbappe as well.
And look, and people don't actually understand, he's still top 5 goal scorer in the world, annual goals in the year. They've got Ronaldo, Harry Kane, everyone talks about Erling Haaland. No one talks about Mbappe. He actually just, business as usual, is scoring 50 plus goals a year. That's where he's at right now.
Let's go over to our top 5. We do our top 5 every week. Make sure you're subscribing at the Kairouz Bros or at Kairouz Bros on YouTube. This top 5 this week is top 5 wrestlers of all time. Top 5 WWE Superstars of all time. Starting with number 5.
Roman Reigns, acknowledge him. He has become one of the greatest wrestlers of all time, and he's only ascending up this list as his career
So
goes
you're
on.
putting him ahead of Shawn Michaels, ahead of Randy Orton, ahead of people that are on the outskirts of the top 5.
He's now nearly surpassed Hulk Hogan as the longest reigning champion of all time.
It's the biggest modern day reign of all time.
It's the longest modern day championship reign of all time. He definitely deserves to be acknowledged as one of the GOATs.
He's headlined multiple WrestleManias.
I think he's nearly reached 10 WrestleMania main events. The only person that can compete with that number is Hulk Hogan, who's notoriously known as the GOAT.
Number 4, I'm going with John Cena. Hustle, loyalty, respect. The reason why John Cena has to be in the top 5 because he carried WWE for a period there, post-WWE Attitude Era, through the Ruthless Aggression Era, into the PG Era. John Cena reigned at the top. He was the best babyface, never turned heel, did it. Whether you loved him, whether you hated him, he carried the product. Vince McMahon's golden child, and still to this day, he's a draw. John Cena deserves to be in the top 5, and that's why he's number 4.
Number 3, his WrestleMania opponent, The Rock. Dwayne The Rock Johnson, who I understand may be the most electrifying person in the World Wrestling Entertainment.
There's an argument he could be number 1 because he's beaten Hulk Hogan, he's beaten John Cena, and he's beaten Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania.
But in terms of his wrestling career, I just think there's other people that have achieved more. And again, his tenure was short because he went to Hollywood. You can't disclaim that as a wrestler.
That's just the natural progression. They all go to Hollywood. Roman Reigns has even been in a Fast and Furious. I'm just saying, for what The Rock has done and the amount of superstardom he has, and he still brings back to the WWE, he could be 1, but on our list he's 3.
If he main events Mania against Roman, Tribal Chief, he can maybe move up to number 1.
I think he has to. That's 4 generations
That's
of matches.
two
Two
generations.
No one will ever do that again.
So at the moment though, he's
That's
3.
like LeBron playing with his son. Number 2, this might be controversial, but number 2 is Hulk Hogan. You know, not the American Dream, just the real American Hulk Hogan. Who throughout every iteration of Hulk Hogan, from the 80s to the NWO Hulk Hogan to coming back to WWE, his feuds with Vince McMahon, he's feuded with The Rock. Pretty much the flagship for WWE, the flagship for WCW. He's transcended generations. He's still known as the wrestler that's on Mount Rushmore. Everyone associates wrestling with Hulk Hogan. He's the greatest of all time, but on our list, he's number 2.
He main evented, I think, 7 of the first 10 WrestleManias. He's the building block of what wrestling is today. Without him, there would be no WWE.
He's still in the intro, slamming Andre the Giant.
And Hulk Hogan was that good. He came back from being cancelled. That's how good you are at your job. If you can come back from being cancelled, that means you're a special talent.
Yeah.
But only eclipsed by number 1, Stone Cold Steve Austin.
The Rattlesnake.
The Rattlesnake, catching beers, saying what? He had too many catchphrases. He was the best on the mic. And his peak in the WWE, merchandise, pay-per-views, it's just never going to be matched again.
The iconic feud with the boss that you hate, that everyone hates, Vince McMahon. Throughout that Attitude Era, they were doing record numbers. Almost 10 million viewers just on television. Unheard of, hasn't been replicated. He carried that Attitude Era, sparked the Attitude Era. Austin 316 from when he cut that promo. That is why we say he is number 1. The building blocks of why wrestling is still popular today is on the back of Stone Cold, and he's come back, and I wouldn't discount that he comes back and has a feud with CM Punk. He's already come back and done a WrestleMania with Kevin Owens. If he does that and has a feud of a lifetime with a CM Punk, in my mind, he's already the GOAT. He's the best WWE superstar of all time. People forget that he could do it in the ring. He is the best on the mic and carried WWE through their most popular period.
I would say Stone Cold is for WWE what Michael Jordan was for basketball. He's the reason he's the reason why it exploded. And when you're that responsible for the growth of an industry and the growth of a product, you're number one.
Honourable mentions, you got Triple H on there, The Game, he's one of the best. Shawn Michaels is the best in-ring performer next to Bret Hart, who's not in the top 5, career unfortunately cut short. Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle, who we were robbed of in WWE for some time because he went over to TNA.
Brock and Kurt are in my personal top 5.
I love both of them. Both freak athletes, both gold medalists, NCAA wrestling champions, they're freaks. Love to see it. Wrestling's back. Wrestling, the soap opera for men is the most popular it's been in some time. The rosters are stacked right now, whether you're looking at AEW, whether you're looking at WWE. It's a good time to be a wrestling fan. Now, we don't talk too much AFL, particularly in the off-season, because it's boring and they're sending their first round to country Victoria. No one cares. But AFL scandal in the off-season, do you hear much of these in Sydney?
Not really, no. I think the NRL's become the new good boy sport, and AFL's now the bad boy sport.
Well, someone at the Melbourne Demons has been banned for 2 years. Joel Smith faces a minimum 2-year ban for cocaine usage.
It's weird. I read the article, and he got caught after a game with cocaine in his system.
Well, if this is the criteria, everyone in the AFL could be doing 2 years pretty soon.
But for some reason, it's been detected as performance enhancing. So I don't know if he did a line before the game. I don't know how they've categorized it.
Well, if you've taken a stimulant, take that quick bump in the bathroom, in the locker rooms before he runs out, that would increase his performance.
But I don't want to burst the AFL's bubble or AFL fans' bubble. But I'd say 95% of the league's on the white powder.
I'd say 95% of domestic Australian athletes are using cocaine.
So,
and I'm not throwing anyone under the bus. Just go to a bathroom in any Sydney pub, you'll find an NRL or AFL athlete doing cocaine.
So my issue with it is, why are you condemning this player so harshly for something that other players have been caught with before as well? I mean, he's going to appeal it, and he's hoping to have his suspension end, I think, now.
WADA rules require a player suspended for cocaine or marijuana to undergo treatment for substance abuse, as well as proving the substances was used out of competition. So if he proves it's out of competition, surely he can't do 2 years.
I mean, don't do drugs. That's the first thing. But if you're going to say that he deserves a 2-year ban and other players don't, it's very hard to actually comprehend.
His urine sample was collected after round 23. I don't know if it was immediately after the game or whatever it be, but I'll tell you what, if he's done a line before the game, maybe he does serve 2 years. I don't know. Maybe that's his secret formula to performing. I don't know how many disposals he had, but if you're taking a line before the game to kick more goals and get more disposals, then maybe he should serve 2 years. If he's just done it at a nightclub before the game and it pops positive after the game, and I'm talking he's done it the night before, he shouldn't be doing 2 years. Just give him a good slap on the wrist.
What sport would be enhanced by taking cocaine before the game?
Every single sport that requires you to go out and get physical. It's a stimulant. Like, you go out and go nuts.
So I'm saying like a boxing match? Will it make it too jumpy? I don't know.
It's illegal. But I don't see many people using cocaine for performance enhancing, like before a game.
Maybe sniff some pre-workout.
Well, it's kind of equivalent, but I hope he doesn't have to serve 2 years, and hopefully they get to the bottom of it. Now, looking over to entertainment, we always touch on this in the show. Kylie Jenner, she's gone viral over social media because she's kissing with Timothée Chalamet from the Wonka film.
American-French actor.
Okay. He's hooking up with her in the middle of the Emmys. Everyone can see it. Apparently there's a bit of drama between her and Kylie and Selena Gomez and Taylor Swift. She wanted to get a photo. It was all over the thing. But my takeaway from this, right, because I'm going to be honest with you, this guy's not the best looking celebrity, right?
I think people have their niche and they find him cute. I'm not going to say that I do, but I'm just saying that's what I've seen and read.
But if you're taking the Kylie Jenner, Kardashian type of black NBA player, black rapper, Kanye West, Kylie Jenner's ex-husband or ex-partner is Travis Scott. How do you go from Travis Scott to Timothée Chalamet?
Well, I can notice a few differences immediately. One would be their skin color.
Skin color being one.
One would be their careers. One's an actor, one's a rapper.
In the arts, they're in the arts.
Tattoos would be a big thing.
Tattoos, yeah.
And maybe size of schlong, if I'd had to,
if you had to put money on it. If I'm Timothée Chalamet, how do you compete in the bedroom with Travis Scott? I could put money on that he's packing, right? But secondly, like, she already has a kid with him, so there's already been damage down there. You know what I mean? Like, so whatever you're going to do, I just don't think it's going to be satisfactory.
Well, I mean, he's the widest Kardashian-Jenner partner since Chris Humphries.
Well, there's also been Skeet Davidson.
Oh, yeah, but
there's been Skeet Davidson.
Yeah, I forgot about
So I feel like I don't know if it's Kris Jenner making the PR move to stray away from the African Americans and start going for white comedians and other whites in the arts. It could be a play from Chris.
Well, I did see also from before Kim trying to court Kylian Mbappe. So they're not abandoning the black athletes. They're just maybe moving on to more actors. They're trying to just diversify their portfolio.
How about you give it away and start looking after your kids? That's enough.
Pause
I don't want to see any more Kim Kardashian thirst traps on Instagram because you got kids at home and that's enough. I don't think your daughters appreciate it. I don't think North, I don't think she's the biggest fan of it.
But I would like to add, if they're going to be going on this diversification route, promoting diversity, they want to go hook up with white boys and, black African rappers and basketballers. If they want to maybe try a Lebanese person, I'm happy to put my hand up.
I'm happy to put my hand up as well to get your publicity out there. The next Kardashian relationship. Just to diversify. If they're going that diversification route, you've had African Americans, you've gone the whites, Bad Bunny's even been in there. There's a Hispanic tick off. What about Lebanese?
Try the Middle East. That's all I'm saying.
Middle East. They might not be as tall, but if you're looking for someone 5'9", a bit lean, keeps himself fit, Kairouz Bros are here.
I'm just saying. Kylie, Kendall, preferably Kendall.
Yeah, but that is all today for Prime Time. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you're subscribed at the Kairouz Bros, at Kairouz Bros on YouTube. And that's all for today. We'll see you next week. I'm looking forward to this. Yeah.